We back. We back. I think we back. I don't know if it. I think that ended. We'll do part 2 and I'll put. We're back. I think we're back.
Okay, they dropped a new. They started the live.
I don't know if I have the energy in me to keep. I'll come over. I'll come over.
Wait a minute. It looks like there's Zale.
Hello.
Hello, Zale.
I'm about to add.
I'm doing a show over here.
Did you tell them in the StreamYard?
I'm doing my show right here.
I'm
not in the StreamYard, so
I'm in StreamYard. I'm about to, as soon as everything start back working. I think everybody in the chat. Shout out to anybody in the chat. I have to redo the doc, so we gotta do that. We bring them to them.
I'm drinking my sweet tea. I'm Mississippi sweet
tea. We are back.
Well, we need us. I only got one ear to hear.
What? Only got one ear to hear. What?
Why do? All right, now let me make sure you can represent him. Here you are in here. Everybody can hear me? Let me Ruben.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear. Also, hi everyone.
Okay.
Sorry about it. Oh, I can't see anything.
I thought I had ran Ruby off and beat her again.
Nice try.
Finish show the screen. Let me.
Did you enjoy me and RBR's debate?
I heard it, but I haven't seen it yet because I've been so sick. So I was like, actually, Zal just told me about it last night. I went, oh, really? So, but okay. We had a question in the last chat, so I wanted to pose this to BMT. You can ask this while we are setting things up because everyone can hear us, right, Zal? So, BMT, if you can explain what you mean by hypersexuality, because we have a we have a therapist in the chat who thinks that we might be cross talking a little bit. Like because we're not maybe necessarily meaning the same
therapist.
Thing. When you say hypersexuality, we may not be meaning the same thing.
Does she know what hypersexuality?
Yeah, so therapists would definitely know what hypersexuality means. But it's not necessarily true that we see this all the time, right? People mean different things by using the exact same term, right? So it would be good to get a definition. So if you can explain what you mean by the term, that way, maybe we could get some clarity.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. You want me to do it now, or you want me when do you want me to start?
Yes, please. Well, I mean, it might as well, right? Because we got the setup going on and stuff, but everyone can hear us, so yeah.
Okay. Well, okay, so
Can you hear me?
Well, hypersexuality would most likely be that of well, there's like a feedback I'm getting.
Oh, it might be my.
I'm getting feedback.
Oh.
Every time I say something, there's a feedback.
Okay.
SBMT, do you still get it?
Okay.
Well,
BMT, you still getting feedback now?
I mean, seriously, a lot of our
Yeah. Okay.
Did anyone ask
me? Let me see. What if I just mute this? Huh?
Is anybody else getting?
I don't know. I'm not.
Vonda, how about you? Do you get
I'm not. Is
feedback?
anyone else can?
Oh, maybe Vonda to know.
Huh?
Are you getting any feedback? Like,
No, everything sounds
oh,
good.
it might be BMT new mic thing. So something wrong with yours too? Just Jay.
Yeah.
Oh, Roslyn said y'all not in the chat. Everything good? Everybody good? I don't
Nope,
know.
everything sounds good. Yes.
Hello,
All right,
hello.
you want me ready to rock? I'll just go ahead. I mean, we're fixing. I'll tap switch over to
Well, I wonder what it is though.
Okay, so
I mean, I don't. I obviously. Yeah, go ahead.
okay, yeah. So pretty much hypersexual behavior. Pretty much you see with hypersexuality with urges. Um, um, pretty much mentally, physically, and sexually. Um, that we gets promoted, and I'm not giving the best definition, but it is put out there in a lot of context of media, in health and mentally. It's overly done sexually. Um, these are things that we've been seeing. And this hypersexual, especially with black, when how they have to feel like they have to showcase themselves, whether it's revealing some clothes or acting a certain type of way or doing something, for imagery or looks. Do these things ever get pushed against or spoken against? Not enough, really. And then when you have it for those who do speak about the type of sexual behavior, that's why when I talked about it with the women wearing certain outfits in the church, I thought that was a good enough thing for to show mentally how bad it's gotten. Um, I guess that wasn't enough. But yeah, that's literally a bad mindset that we're seeing. A politician should never have a need or reason to twerk. There should never see a reason for a politician to twerk. Um, but that is a hypersexual behavior, a bad negative behavior. Um, you're seeing young girls saying, "Damn, I think I signed into something I wasn't ready to get involved with." Uh, Especially when it comes to music. So what Vonda said about rap. A lot of the women that they started out at first, they didn't have to take off clothes like that to sell a CD. Nowadays, you got to drop all your clothes. And even India Irie, t-shirt and no panties on, he even spoke about that. She was like, "Yo, why is Janelle Monáe showing so much skin?" So these types of behaviors that are being out there portrayed in the African American community, hell, you got it with that of certain vices, no boating, no bucking. Like, come on now, like even that's too much. That right there, like, wait, we got to talk about sex when it comes to boating. That's problematic, and that really wasn't. That was an ad. That was an ad that was made out there for blacks, to talk about voting and political leverage. If he don't vote, don't have no sex with him. Wait, so where is this going? Are y'all understanding with this hypersexual behavior and the negative outcomes on society? I'm not hoping the therapists understand that also, because these are now one and the same, synonymous with black culture. It's almost involved with everything we do now. So
Yeah. Okay. But
BMT.
see now, 'cause I wanted to get your definition, right? Because my definition would be different. So, because to be clear, right, being
that's fine.
hypersexualized can be either hypersexuality has specifically to do with libido, as in sex, right? As in, so when someone behaves in a way to try to get sex or to, be a sex symbol or whatever, or more importantly, and this is an important one that you didn't really touch on at all, it's when other people sexualize things that someone else is doing, right? So if I look at an 8-year-old, I can hypersexualize an 8-year-old without the 8-year-old ever hypersexualizing themselves, right? That is to say, they are not making a choice to try to do something to get sexualized, right? I am doing something to sexualize otherwise normal behavior, right? And so we are actually working on two different definitions. And it's important to know, it's important to qualify, because I would say actually that with your definition, I would say that there is no difference between the Black community and the rest of Western culture. The rest of Western culture is
What?
incredibly
Go ahead.
hypersexualized, and it's hypersexualized at younger and younger ages across more and more demographics in ways that it clearly should not be. We're talking about anything from schools to religions to anything. And it's almost terrifying, because in essence, sex sells to the point that whether it's children's shows, people doing stuff with their kids on like TikTok or YouTube or whatever, they are still mixing in sexy jokes, or stuff where that involves children interacting with adults in sexualized ways. Now, does the Black community also do things like? Absolutely. But they also do it. So now, and here's an important point, is I think oftentimes when we have these discussions, again, we only talk about our own community, or people bring up other communities to either vilify the Black community or to justify the Black community. And I'm not doing either of those things. I'm simply saying that there is a problem with the Western world. The Western world is incredibly hypersexualized. And that hypersexualized, pervasive hypersexuality that's going on in pretty much all facets, but more importantly, I will say the over adultification of our children, particularly of Black children, that actually sets up our children in our community to be sexually abused and to become victims of sexual abuse, which then oftentimes allow us to engage in more destructive behaviors, including acting out in sexually aggressive or demeaning ways, right? Because that's a typical way to react to sexual abuse. However, and it's really important to note that just because we are more hypersexualized, not as in from our own choices, we as a community, our
Oh, no, it's not our
behavior,
choice.
everything we do, no, not by our choices, by our existence, we are hypersexualized. Okay. When other children who are 8 years old are wearing shorts or a bathing suit, they are not sexualized. But when a Black child is doing the same thing in the same innocent way, they will be sexualized. Okay. That is hypersexualization. That has nothing to do with the child wanting to engage in anything sexual or trying to be adult or whatever. They're just at a beach, it's hot, they got a bathing suit on because they're gonna go swimming, they put on a pair of shorts because now they're gonna go walk up to get some ice cream with their friends. But the Black child who's 8 or 9 years old will be sexualized by people. Okay, that is a problem. When the Black child is dancing and doing a little belly, she's twerking to try to be sexy. Oh, she's fast, she's this, she's that. But guess what? Kids from all these other cultures do belly dancing and whatever from 5, 6, 7 years old. It's very similar, could be sexually suggested, except they're just kids, so no one sexualizes them. But when it's Black kids, we think it's okay to sexualize their behavior. They're totally innocent, totally normal behavior. We think it's okay to sexualize the kids and then to look down on them for it and to punish them for it and to call them degenerates, as though somehow or another the rest of the world is not doing the same thing. It's terrible. It is terrible what we are allowing to happen to our community, to our children. How do we solve real problems unless we can see when our behavior is a cause of Western world, because everyone's behavior is the same, versus when our behavior really is something different, and then we can examine those causes and those solutions.
Okay, wait, we got current Eastern European in the chat. Biggie Boss, shout out to my Balkan homie.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out. Like, I have so much to say, but man,
Biggie Boss said, relative to white American culture, Black American culture isn't hypersexualized. They are both very, very sexualized. He's from the Balkan states over there in Eastern Europe, so he said he come over west and he's like, oh, this is very sexualized. So he's like, this the whole culture. He said it's a lot of similarity from what he see. So Biggie agrees with Ruby. He says the whole Western culture. And by the way, if you think about it, Cuties was a bunch of little white girls. All them little shows and little weird little pageants they be doing. Also, the Pam Anderson was probably the first over sexualized person and started with the culture of sexualization with Pam Anderson. That's not, Pamela Anderson was the first. She was in beer commercials. She was the first one on TV I seen on a commercial. Even though there was some other people, but she was one like the mainstream one that was everywhere. So it is a lot of equal, but we always get, like I said, the one problem I always have is that we allow every negative to become our identity, and that's my biggest issue. Like,
Okay.
why is all our negatives our identity? The trailer park dude is not the trailer park dude who got here shooting a gun at everybody is not considered just most of the white people. That's to be like, I'm just saying that the trailer park guy in the trailer shooting spin the back is not like, oh, that's white people. No, you just say that's the trailer park dude. You ain't just saying that's the hood black dude. Oh yeah, Pam Grier too. It's a Eartha Kitt, but it's black people and white people.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with your Pamela
if that's what
Anderson
y'all
statement
say,
at all.
I thought about it. I thought about
cool.
Eartha Kitt halfway through, man. I'm not gonna lie.
Go ahead, BMT.
No. You got it. If that's what y'all say, it's that I'm good. You got it.
By the way, what Danteezy said is true. I just
You got it.
the black exploitation was around way before Pamela. They used to it's a black woman they had from Africa. They used to like have her shaped of a body and made it into like a statue, and it was used to being shipped around all kind of Eastern European stores because they like the body from African people.
So, no, that's cool. Like I said, we're going to just see how it keeps on going for black people. That's what we're going to see how it keeps going for black people. Like that's all. That's all. I think at the end of the day, we'll see how it pans out. Because like after a while, this is why nobody bats an eye. Whenever we say, "Well, we don't do this, we don't do that," so it's better just say it's better off that white people tell you how to think and do. I mean, that's probably fair. That's what I see it as. It's probably better that other groups tell you how to think. I don't see and I've have been to other cultures, so I can make that fair assessment of these things. But I've been over in the Middle East for 8 years, so saying that the belly dancing, you're not going to do that in public. Somebody would bash you upside the head with a stick.
Not true.
If you're a prostitute, you're in a prostitution district. That's where you're born. That's your level of where you're at.
Yeah, I talk about home crush all the time.
I don't get it. I don't get it. Why? Who would ask a IG Instagram thought anything political? Well, I don't get that. Who asked?
What does the IG model have to do with anything? Where did the IG model part come from?
Hold on. Wait. But it does have something to do because they have influence. You're saying, what does that have to do with anything? Because these people, for younger people, because you're older now. You're older, I'm older, Zell's older, everybody is older. See, we forget that these people have influence. They also have a say. They have sway over that of the community. So I think that's why the timeline of these conversations sometimes they're very mistaken and not understood that these people of how you can be this type of way or you can do your body however, and that's fine. Okay, then if you're going with that narrative, right? If you're going with that narrative of it doesn't matter about those behaviors or, it's just the white man,
who said
run
that?
with that. Understand that when you play the show Power, or P Valley, like what positive African American show would you say has the best representation for blacks? I would want to ask that. What positive African American show has a positive development for blacks?
Okay, so first I'm gonna go back to the question. Well, I don't think I would say Grownish, but again, I don't think that most shows have any positive representation, almost at all. Not in any overarching way, because generally what sells is not what's positive. And the people who are marketing to us generally tend to try to sell us trash. So as much as there's a bunch of like little sitcoms like Grownish or Blackish, or the, like, I don't know, I follow about 5 or 6 of them on Netflix or whatever, right? A bunch of these new shows that are like the Moeshas of the 21st century. Even though there's a bunch of those are basically 20-minute sitcoms, and they're kind of more made for children, right? When they're marketing things towards adults, the last thing that they do is try to come with the lessons, something feel good, try to be good role models. It's not what adult TV is for in general. Right now, there are people who would say, well, no, actually, I think that the behavior from this show or that show would be good or encouraging. I look at shows from every show that I like has a whole bunch of negative messaging that I would never want myself, my friends, my children to follow as behaviors. For example, Suits. I love the show Suits. I think the show Suits is great, right? But the idea of all of the stuff that happened, no, I would never want anyone I know to run their law firm that way, nor would I ever want to run my life that way, because it's not even remotely realistic, and everyone would be going to prison in that case, and everyone would be sued under the jail to the point where there would be no law firm after it was found out what happened, right? No matter how smart the kid is, no matter how much of a photographic memory he has, no matter how many times he technically passed the bar for other people, it doesn't matter. Why didn't you just get him to write the damn bar and before he started practicing? It was wild, right? The point is that that's not what TV is there for. And TV should not be raising your children, nor should it be teaching your children valuable lessons, because that's what you're supposed to be as a parent, right? Obviously. And as a parent, you're supposed to teach your kids that TV is for entertainment purposes, not to try to teach you that this is the best way for you to live or for you to run yourself. Now, is it harmful when you are a Black person and there's literally no great messages for Black people, for Black kids? There's no role models that you can see on TV. Absolutely, that's harmful. Absolutely, that's harmful, right? But for you,
but I'm saying I asked you for a representation of a show.
Right, but I literally said that there is none, right? And so the thing is that, again, just because there's very few Black shows, right? Let's be real. There's very few Black shows to begin with, right? There's way more white shows, but guess what? What I'm saying is that none of those shows are a good representation of anything positive. None of them, because that's not what TV is for. That's not what movies are for. Pardon?
I mean, if you go to the Hallmark Channel, which you got the Hallmark Channel, I mean, I'm surprised you jumped over that. They got a lot of good family-oriented shows. Like there ain't even swearing in those shows. See, that's what I'm saying. Like you talk about programming,
not having swearing.
You couldn't even think of the Hallmark. When literally there's no swearing, there's no nothing. This literally the worst thing is the dog catcher that stole the church's money. That's the worst thing that they'll ever bring up. Like, or somebody selling the deed to the house, but. There's nothing volatile. I know because the old people at the nursing home watch the Hallmark Channel. So there's nothing volatile in that. But again, if you would have said Tyler, if you want to use the House of Pain or Tyler Perry, I was surprised you couldn't jump over there. Or there's a lot. I mean, Tyler Perry's little, what his narrative of the world is. Again, these type of shows. And their projection of what is Black or Black culture is very interesting on how the perception is. You're saying that TV, when most children are raised latchkey, I guess Zell just played this thing. Well, how do you feel or view Black people? Most people don't even hang around Black people. Their perception is through that of media of what Black people are, or when they speak to Black people. Through that media, and I know a lot of people don't believe that, but Black people live in condensed areas in the U.S. We don't live everywhere. We live in condensed areas of certain places. Like, I mean, if you was in the Bible Belt, there's certain places down south. White people never talk to a Black person, and a Black person, what we perceive of other groups, that's just the thing. So I mean, it's not like saying you're wrong. It's not a point of proving who's right or wrong. It's just that of. It's just that of the imagery. And I mean, again, trying to talk about like the little kids thing, Listen, I'm not sure you heard a lot of these little kid nursery rhyme stuff, but a lot of that stuff is literally to that of dancing and twerking, and it's pretty egregious stuff. It's pretty garbage. So, um,
Maybe
that
because
right
you weren't
there
raised
says a
around white
lot
people. Maybe that's
about.
the problem. Maybe I think the problem is that
Huh?
because, as you said, Black people are raised in these condensed areas, they tend to know a lot more about Black people, Black culture, Black everything, because that's all that they were raised around. And maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's why you don't know that a lot of the things that you say about Black people and Black culture is the exact same things that white people are doing. Now, I happen to know that because I was born and raised into white people culture, right? Like there were no Black
You're raised.
people,
Okay,
there was no Black
okay, wait. Hold on, hold on,
community,
hold on.
there was no Black kids
Okay,
in
so
my school,
okay,
right? So
what areas? Okay, no, what areas of Western America were you raised in? I'm just asking that real quick.
no, I was obviously born and raised in Canada, which
Okay,
you
correct.
know. But to the point though, is that I also have family in the States, some of which that were raised in Black communities, right? But some that were also raised in very similar communities to mine, where their family was Black, and maybe there might be one or two other Black families, but generally in the little suburban town, there was pretty much not Black people. There's white people, maybe a little bit of Asian, whatever, but that's it. Because those types of demographics do also exist in America, right? They exist in the Western world. Now, America has way more Black people than Canada does. So generally, you're going to be able to find Black communities in America, right? A concentrated place where you're going to be able to see a lot more of, hey, if Black people were all in one community, how are they similar, but also how are they different to, say, a white community? Right. But what I find astounding is that Black people refuse to accept when their negatives might be similar to other demographics, because the problem is not their Blackness or the Black culture, but the problem is the Western world and the degeneracy of the Western world. And I find it amazing that Black people just refuse. It's like there's like a thing that we are so committed to this idea that no, we have to prove that Black people individually, they are flawed. Black culture is flawed. Black practices are flawed. Black people are the bottom, right? There's these other cultures we can look at and we can say they do it better. Look at their people, look at their kids, look at their whatever, right? But it's not true. And the thing is that I'm not sure why we don't want to accept the fact that the problem is the Western world. The problem is Western culture. The degeneracy is coming from the Western world. Because if you go to the rest of the world, what you see is, again, still some similar behaviors. For example, dancing. Kids learn dancing at an early age, but the difference is that the kids are not hypersexualized, right? Because no one is looking at those children and sexualizing the children. So when the children are doing dancing, they're not being looked at as these sexual beings. They're being looked at as
No,
kids
saying,
having
hold up.
fun. And that's the difference between what the Western world does to their kids and what every other culture does to their kids.
Wait. Let's get Vonda here. She's been in here. I want her to actually get a chance to say something. Where I know Ruby and BMT going at it.
I'm sorry. I'll stop.
You know what? With regards to the Western culture, that's what I was saying earlier. I agree with Ruby. I think it's Western culture. When we're talking about Black culture, we're talking about American Black culture. We're not talking about Jamaican culture. We're not talking about African culture. We're talking the Black culture that we're talking about is American Black culture. And the Black people who are in America are Americans. We are part of the Western world. So everything that Black people do, it is American culture. It's American culture. So twerking for a Black person in America is lewd and lascivious compared to an African woman doing the same thing. And why is that? That would be my question. Why is that? Everything that's associated to Black culture, everyone wants to say that it's negative and it's degenerative. And there are some degenerative parts. Some of it is negative. But
Vonda, you said the NBA was Black culture.
excuse me,
Did you say the NBA was Black culture?
I'm saying basketball in itself it's predominantly Black. So is that not part of Black culture?
No,
Sports is not part of Black culture.
No, I wouldn't say the basketball is black culture. I would say that you could say you excel at that. That's like saying running.
So what's American football? All American sport. They call football the all American sport.
Right.
And
That's just
football
football.
is predominantly, black men. So that's not part of black culture. It's American culture, is it not? Is football not American culture?
That's not how. Oh, Rhonda. Just think about that. If you're gonna call it, okay, think about it. You're calling a culture that you do not own. You're calling something that's your culture
I'm
that you
saying
don't own.
it's encompassing all of it. I'm saying it's a part of all of it. What you're doing is you're separating the white people in America from the black people in America.
Well, don't we do that naturally? Don't we do that naturally?
It's done, but what I'm saying is that black
Okay.
culture is no more degenerative than straight up American culture.
Okay. I'll give you that. I'm not going to ever say one culture is more degenerate than the other culture. That's not the contention of the argument. I'm not sure if y'all looking for a bad guy or something like that. Like, but I mean, I'm going to definitely lead at the fact that if you cannot be honest or realistic, that and I would ask, like, tell me the politician on that has to twerk for views. I would question, like, hey, what's up with that? Could you give me a politician that has to twerk for views, or like say, like, you know what I'm saying, like,
So what
that's
does that have
problematic.
to do with black culture? What does a
Whoa,
politician twerking have to do with black culture?
See, and there we go. So one minute, well, it's not black culture, but then when you see a woman or a few women that have done the twerking for the views do it, now all of a sudden, what does that have to do with black culture?
But I'm asking you, why is that considered black culture? You're saying a politician twerking, and I'm asking you, why is a politician twerking black culture? That's my question.
If people would claim, say, well, twerking is black culture, right? That's not me. That's a big majority will say twerking is black culture, that we like to twerk. It doesn't matter what BMT says. If that's what the majority is saying, that this is what we like to do,
where is that at?
You can go to the shade room. You can go to shade room. You can go to plenty of places where they will pull up that talking point that, hey, black people twerk. Black people are the ones who have dreads. These are not something that BMT said. I don't give a damn for all that, for that kind of whimsical nonsense, but I'm going to just pull it out and say that. I mean, that's the thing. Ain't like when it comes to the Howards and all the HBCU, we like the music. Hip hop is black culture. Okay, so it's not music, it's just black culture. Okay. So these are things that I'm not my sentiment I have to carry. These are stuff that people have said, well, why is a white boy rapping? Don't he know that's what black people do? So we don't have to play and say that, well, R&B, mind you don't know that many white R&B singers, but you know more black R&B singers. And they will say, well, that's black people, that's R&B. So people will run with certain types of narratives to say, we market this, rerun there. Can we agree on that? That's the narrative that get run out, that get thrown on the table? Because you're saying that, what does it have to do? And I'm pulling out straightforward examples and stuff.
You're saying that like it's a fact, and I don't associate twerking. I don't associate twerking with being black culture. I don't twerk.
Okay,
I am a black American woman, and God forbid, I am not the only black American woman who does not twerk. Let's just keep it a buck. I'm not the only one who doesn't. But does that make the ones who do twerk, does that make them bad people? Just because I don't.
I want to clarify something. Twerking is from West Africa, also known as bum bum and mapuka.
I don't see a problem with twerking.
So I just wanted.
Yeah.
But let's
because in West Africa, and again, what I was saying, they don't shame people for doing it. Right. But who brought it? Who popularized twerking? Because someone said it in the chat. I think it might have been Bobby. Said that Miley Cyrus popularized twerking, but yet it didn't become a white culture thing. That's weird, right? How a white
No, she did
person
not. Let's stop that.
popularized
Let's
it,
stop
but
that,
yet it
Molly.
never defined white people.
Miley
Why didn't
Cyrus
it define white
popularized
people?
twerking.
Do you see it right
Y'all
here?
really wondering what that narrative? Miley Cyrus popularized twerking.
Actually, yeah.
Boy,
because honestly, Miley Cyrus and Christina Aguilera, before I ever saw black people twerk, I saw them twerk. Real talk. Now that's not, I don't even think it had a name, or if it did, I don't know if they used it. But yeah, no, back when I was a kid, black people were not twerking when these little white girls were sitting there twerking, right? And it was happening in pop music. No, when I read that, I went, yeah, you know what? That actually sounds more familiar. I remember black people starting to really twerk like maybe 5-10 years later.
Wait. I just want to clarify something. That's talking mainstream cultural. You did not see, to Ruby's point, you did not see that often in mainstream culture until Miley. But to BMT's point, it was all on BET. White people didn't look at BET that much, but it was all on BET. But at the same, so I get the point because BMT is from a predominantly black area.
Oh man, I need to back away from this table.
BMT. Now you see all them little white girls twerking and you didn't know.
And Bobby, this is Bobby, right? It just pointed out a point that I literally made, and BMT is not going to be able to do, because the problem is it's the same thing. Right. See, this is the thing, right? And we don't want to admit that we do this to our own people, but we absolutely do, right? It's okay for us to define black people by twerking, no matter how many white people do it, no matter where it became popularized, whether you believe it got popularized in pop culture by little idiots like Miley Cyrus or not. The point is that it's okay to define black people by twerking, despite the fact that Black America did not invent twerking, nor are they the only culture that does something similar. However, right, when we talk about something positive, then we talk about something positive, like, I don't know, sports, we can't define black culture including basketball or football, right? But we could definitely define black culture by gangster rap, right? But not by I mean, this is the thing. You can't just sit there and pick and choose what parts of culture get to be part of black culture based on what's negative and what will define black people in a negative way. You can't do that, right? There are aspects to black culture that are positive. And unless you can acknowledge the positive aspects of black culture and the positive influences of black culture, and also acknowledge the fact that it's not black people who have always turned our positive aspects into negative aspects, right? Because other people get a hold of our culture and then make it a negative thing, right? Because the negativity, the shock factor, whatever, that's what sells, right? But we don't want to admit any of that. Why don't we want to admit the truth and the reality? Because in order for us to fix the problem, we have to be dealing with the truth. We have to be dealing with the reality. And the reality is that black people are not just a group of degenerates, and black culture is not defined by degeneracy. And the fact that that's all some black people can talk about is just defining black people as a bunch of degenerates, even though people from all these other cultures will say, yeah, no, that I see this in my culture and in this culture and that culture and all these other cultures. No, that's not really different than what's going on in all these other cultures, right? But black people, we really want to reject that idea. We want to reject the idea that there's a huge problem with Western culture. We want to just reject it. Let's reject the idea that there's a problem with Western culture, so that way we can just embrace the fact that, you know what, genetically, we're just flawed as black people. It's easier, right? It's just easier. Let's just do that.
Listen, I do want to say one thing to make sure. Listen, we gotta stop embracing negativity on ourselves. That is something we have to do. We do have to stop embracing all the negative stereotypes that people put in front of us for the money. So I didn't want to get this in. The quick fame, this is how we supposed to be. We supposed to be screaming, yelling, arguing, fighting. You look online, you look like we hate each other every day, and it's like kind of defeating everything. We feed into these negative stereotypes and we believe it, and we go into our little corners, and then you see everybody trying to fight out or fight in to help this black manosphere, this women Cynthia G cult who hate all black men and want you to kill them all, and then we all just get in this weird debate culture because all we do is embrace hate among ourselves. Because again, kind of trained to hate ourselves. We ain't that good of people, and I do want to be wary about that. I do worry about that. So I'm trying. That's what I do worry about. I'm not hateful against anybody, but we do have to rectify certain issues in the community. We have to do, and it starts with ourselves, and we got to stop embracing every stereotype of every type of thing we do. We got to stop embracing the gang culture. We got to stop embracing all the any negative thing. Like you got to stop being tough everywhere you go. Everybody here, I'll shoot all y'all if something missing, and then nothing missing, and then all of a sudden everybody looking at you crazy. That's it. I just want people. You just stop embracing. If we stop embracing the negative culture because it makes us easy money, a lot of this can solve. And you ask why do these women twerk? Why is what's her name? The little redheaded girl now that look like Anna is black. What's her name? Ice Spice.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you know why she twerks? That one move that she does randomly, and she twerk. She get paid for it. Nobody. Her music ain't interesting. They put on the show to do that. She embrace it. Why? Because she get paid for it. You know why everybody a gang member now? Because you get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? You know why everybody? You know why everybody everybody just want to join these certain groups that when they all of a sudden everything gets real popular when they start making money. Everybody want to be a YouTuber in 2018 when we found out everybody was making bread. You know why? It's popular. I can get money off this. And that wasn't just black. That's everybody, but black people been doing it too. I got a problem with Jesse Jackson. Why? Because again, he gets to the easy money, and I always call it Jesse Jackson. I don't like Jesse Jackson, but again, you see his son stole tax dollars because that's what they do. It's get to the money anyway, unethically or whatever, and they embrace it because that's what they do. And then they go out here and pretend they are leaders and come out there and like, we gonna fight for this. I'm like, bro, you good living good in your neighborhood, and then like, oh, I fixed it, and then nothing ever fixed, and you want to watch Chicago the same. That's just my little rant on Jesse Jackson. Had to get that in somewhere in the show.
Well, I can't see who's in the StreamYard still, but I apologize to all three. Listen, I get heated about this particular subject, and I apologize because I know when I get heated and I'm sick, then I just have zero patience and I pop off. So I apologize, but it's something that really bothers me because I see how willing we are to denigrate ourselves and put ourselves down and to box ourselves in as the worst, the lowest common denominator. And I do feel like to a certain extent, we learned that because that's what the media has been telling us about our own people since day one, since before we were born. And we want to embrace that and run with that too. And it's so problematic. It's so problematic to me because it's like a lot of Black people, especially ones who have mostly born and raised and only really interact with Black people, it's like they don't honestly, they really believe there's this magical other race out there somewhere that is just living just these perfect little Western lives, right? Like they're having their cake and eat it too. They don't do any of the degenerate stuff. They're not like that at all. And if they are, there's like one or two of them that are bad, but the rest of them are all just like it's a fairy tale. It's a fairy tale, right? Western culture is degenerate as hell. You know, some of the first hoes I met were 100% not Black, also not white. I'm just gonna say Asian. I'm not gonna clarify it any more than that. But real, when I say hoes, I mean hoes. like in the 9th grade, stuff that I wouldn't even have imagined doing in the 9th grade. I'm not even kidding, right? But you know, again, their culture, different culture, right? They put a different emphasis or a different belief, a different slant, and they do not terrorize their own culture the way that we do with ours. And so when I see that, and then I see the way we're willing to talk down bad about ourselves, I'm like, bro, we have problems. Like, let's talk about our problems, right? But this conversation is not talking about whether or not XYZ is a problem. That was not the conversation. The conversation is not whether or not it's problematic that some woman who is some minor congressman decides to work in public, right? Like that's not the discussion of whether or not that's a problem. The discussion today was whether or not we're degenerates as a culture. And to ask that question, it's a comparative question. Then that means you are comparing Black culture to other cultures and saying, are we lesser than? Is our standard of behavior and our standard of morality and our standard of everything lower than everyone else's? Which at that point, we're not saying whether or not it's okay or not. This is not has to do with whether or not it's okay. All of our negatives are okay. Whether or not we should be saying, oh yay, let's praise all these negatives about Black culture. Let's praise gangster rap. Oh, let's praise shooting each other down in the streets. Let's praise it. Like, no, that has nothing to do with this discussion. The discussion has to do with looking at it and comparing Western culture with our culture. Are we degenerates? No, Western culture in comparison to every other culture in the world, very degenerate, right? Generally, right? But are we degenerates?
The hood is 100%
prove
degenerate.
it.
I'm not gonna lie, the hood is degenerate. I'm from the hood. It's very degenerate. But also, I live up the road from the white people, and the trailer park is 100% degenerate too. The trailer park is very degenerate. My cousin got a few babies with them.
That's the point,
Very degenerate.
right?
They
Yeah,
shoot
that's
at
the
you too.
point.
It's like,
I'm not
oh,
saying we don't
Wild
have
West,
degenerates in our culture. But why are we defined by our degenerates, right? Because white people aren't defined by their degenerates, right? We're not.
Thank you. You
defined by
find
our
one
degenerates.
degenerate in a Black person in the Black community, then you know what? They're all like that. And I just think that is ridiculous. You got one Black woman that twerks, you know what? They all twerk. It's like, get the hell out of here. To me, I just think that is just so ridiculous. So when he was trying to make his point about a politician twerking, I'm like, what does that have to do with Black culture? That's that woman and what she decided to do. Maybe it wasn't a good idea, but it's like, I mean, come on. That is not Black
I dissed
culture.
her, by the way. So if anybody question, did you support it? I already made a video on my other channel. And I very much didn't agree with that at all. It was strange. But
Absolutely. No, I don't agree with that. But I mean, give me a break. I mean, when was the last time you saw Angela Bassett twerking? Stop it. Just cut it out.
Right. Right. Well, you know who I see dancing sexy and suggestively? First of all, you know what's funny is that a white girl in Canada, a white girl taught me how to twerk. Because I didn't really know what it was, right? So I just thought it was kind of like the same thing as whining, like art with reggae. And she's like, no, that's not how you twerk. Now, to be fair, she's a white girl. She was also a stripper. So that's why she knows how to twerk. And that's honestly the people I've seen. No, I'm not even kidding. Most of the people I've seen that twerk on a regular in public, whatever, they're strippers.
Ruben learning how to twerk from a stripper is hilarious.
Well, I mean, okay. I know sex workers, right? So she wasn't like when I first met her, she was still stripping, but then she stopped and well, she did a little stint where she was stripping. Point is, right? Is that my point is that she's probably the best twerker I knew. She's a white girl, right? If you have enough booty, then you can throw your butt that way. I never had enough booty to effectively twerk. So I could whine, but I can't twerk. But I'll tell you, just standing still and whining to a song, like whatever, it's just like how, you know, when you're just like, you're kind of listening, right? Some cultures might march or whatever. Like me, I whine. I just do a little whine up thing, right? And it's not to try to be sexy or for anybody else. It's just how I move to the rhythm, right? For people to call, say, Jamaicans a bunch of degenerates because we like to whine, like, to me, that is wild. It's wild considering, again, there are so many waist moving, hip moving dances across the world. I mean, some of the most stern cultures, like Indian cultures, right? Look at the dancers of Indian culture. They do a lot of, first of all, they walk around with their midriffs exposed all the time. Like that's a normal thing in their culture. In their culture, to walk around in a crop top when you're 50, normal as hell. Okay. Showing off belly, normal as hell. Okay. And then they do all kinds of moving, like kind of like a mix between whining and belly dancing, right? All kinds of hip gyration and da-da-da. But no one would ever look at Bollywood dancers and call them a bunch of degenerates, right? Because no one would hypersexualize Bollywood dancing. No one would hypersexualize Bollywood dancers, right? They look at them, they say that culture is a respectable culture. Therefore, these women doing that dance are respectable for doing it. Because you've decided the culture is respectable, therefore anyone practicing the culture is also respectable. So if you've decided that Black people are not respectable, then everything that you associate with the culture is also not respectable. And that's just what it comes down to. We are determining whether or not things are respect worthy based on the culture we have put it in, not the other way around.
It is true. Again, go to the video. The first thing you thought happened, you saw the black man put the hoodie on, walk up to the door. You thought, oh, he finna rob them. That's how you program. But instead, he was going to his daughter's birthday party. So I'm just saying this. And like I said, the hood is very degenerate. That's why I understand where BMT coming from, because he's from the hood and I'm from the hood. So you see a lot of degenerate stuff that if you don't be around the other kind, like I said, I'm from a predominantly black side of a predominantly white area. So like if you go to my neighborhood, it's this town and this town. Bobby Valentino from the other side, by the way. So shout out to Bobby Valentino. He claimed Atlanta, he ain't from. But you on this side, and then you got a bunch of black people, like 300 black people. Then you got this side, like 300 white people. And I went to school because I'm on the edge. I went to this white school. So you see both sides, and I'm always on this side. So you see all that. And you be like, oh, everybody's degenerate. These white people in the trailer park going crazy right now. They shooting each other. They uncles get drunk and go out there and like, I'll shoot you. And then they go out and have like a shoot off, like they in some weird thing. They don't never hit because they be too drunk. They be weird stuff like that. And I'm like, this is very degenerate. They ain't you trying to sleep with their like nephews and stuff. It's weird over there. Yeah, this is out of here. we gotta get out of here. I don't care who your girlfriend is, cuz we ain't staying over here.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I'm saying. The whole point is, right, you cannot define an entire group, an entire culture by your limited access to the culture, right? Or to your limited experience of other people's cultures, right? Like,
Ruby. Right.
Thank you. You can't, again, LeVon is like, yeah, I never worked a day in my life. We're just going to dismiss her because that's not your experience in the hood. Like, no, the hood is only a part of Black American culture, right? And even within the hood, you've got people who are ratchet as hell, and you got people who are not. They're hardworking people trying to get the hell out of the hood.
Exactly. Right. And that's the point that I was trying to make. So it's like, I mean, like you were saying about Miley Cyrus. So if Miley Cyrus twerks, then oh my God, all women are white women are trash because Miley Cyrus twerks. But you're gonna turn around and say all Black women are trash because a politician twerk? It's like, stop it. It's ridiculous. Cut it out.
Facts. Or Shakira. Because I'm like, Shakira, man, that girl was almost never wearing clothes. She wore pants and like some type of bra top. Okay, and was constantly shaking her ass and her body and whatever, moving her body like a snake mob before R. Kelly came out with that song. Okay, that was Shakira all day, every day. I never heard anyone call Shakira a whore, ever. In respectability, politics, she's for one.
Shakira. I saw Shakira. I want to say it might have been David Letterman. It was on some talk show. Now, I didn't know, really, what her background was. But this lady really showed that she could really spread her legs and put her legs from ear to ear. That was one of her talents, and she wanted to make it known that that was something she could do. And I was just like, oh, okay. It's like, okay, did we really need to see this on national TV with both your ankles spread from wall to wall in the middle of a talk show? But hey, she spread it out. She let it be known, and that was her quote unquote talent. So did all of her sisters and aunties and all the ladies in her community get judged by what Shakira did? Because I thought it was pretty provocative, but oh well. I mean, hey, to each his own.
Right. I mean, remember when Christina Aguilera came up with "Dirty"? Now, first of all, I love that song. I'm not even trying to hate on the song or Christina Aguilera for it, but I'm just saying I remember when that came out. Okay. And people were outraged. They were like, this is too sexual, too this, too that. And like, it was like a disgusting thing. But no one was judging Christina or white women. Like, that was not what was happening. It was almost like she was being spoken about like she was a child. She was not. She was a grown-ass woman. And like, she needs to be protected from herself, and she needs to be protected from her own sexuality. Like, God, like, like no one was looking to demonize Christina, and no one was looking to demonize white women. They were looking to look at the bigger picture and say, guys, this is not good how we treat women in music, and this is going too far, and it's going to send the wrong message to our children. but no one was trying to look down on her, right? But every time a black
Or
woman
the whole group
does
of
the
white
same
women.
thing,
Nobody put all white women in a box, you know, when
ever.
she came out with that video. And that was a hot video. I was like, oh, God, Christina, what you
It was.
doing? And girl.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, I think in like 7th grade or so. I was pretty young. So it was super extra hot to like my little group, right? Because we were pretty young. So it was like, yeah. And then, you know, to think about how, you know, WAP came out, and that defined every single black woman on the planet under the age of, from the age of 9 up. It defined every black person.
Cardi B ain't even black.
Thank you. Right? She's not even black. She doesn't even define herself as black. She don't even like black people. But somehow or another, everything Cardi B does defines every black woman over the age of 8 years old. And it's wild. It is wild that there's this double standard, but we don't want to accept that the double standard exists, right? Worse is the double standard that, again, trailer parks, right? Trailer park trash or whatever, right? That doesn't define all white people. Never has, never will, right? But then like some person, some ratchet person from the hood, from a country I'm not even from, will define me because I'm black, right? Like it's like, why do we allow that to happen? Like, and to me, I'm like, that's a problem. To me, that's part of the issue, is we allow it, right? We embrace it. We allow it to happen. We allow ourselves to be defined by the worst of us. We allow people to define us. We allow people to hypersexualize our kids. You know what people do? Other people in other cultures do when someone tries to hypersexualize their kid dancing at 8. Remember Regina George, Mean Girls, right? When you walk into Regina George's house at the beginning, right? One of the very first things you see is her little sister with her arms up in the air dancing, right? Her sister is maybe about 8 years old trying to twerk, right? Like whatever star she was watching, right? And she was literally trying to twerk up her little hips and stuff and whatever. She's about 7, 8 years old. You know what no one did ever? Focus on that. No one looked at that and said, wow, look at these ratchet ass white girls. See how white girls are? You see how that defines all whiteness? No one did that. They just said like, oh, wow, that mom should probably stop trying to be so cool to her kids, right? Like probably put some limits on her kids' behavior. It's probably not great. But like no one defined white people, the white little girl. No one turned around and said, oh, see these white women, such whores, right? But if the roles were reversed, that's what would happen. Because white people don't allow their 8-year-olds to be sexualized, hypersexualized that way and adultified in that way. But we do. We allow people to look at our 8-year-olds and adultify and then sexualize them. We allow it. It's okay. It's okay for you to call an 8-year-old fast, right? You're too fast. You're a slut. These are children who they didn't even hit puberty. They don't know what the hell you're talking about. They just see their stars on TV wanting to shake their hips. They want to do the same thing. They don't understand.
I gotta call out the older people for that, because y'all let a lot of stuff slide. That crap caused so much trauma, buddy. Y'all will let your weird uncle go touch somebody. Oh, that's your uncle. You don't say nothing. Like what? Not everything like hypers, like weird. Like I said, the trailer park do it too. They do it a little more open. It's like a secret in black people. They just go out there and be like, I'm my nephew. Like, okay, weird lady. But in the hood, it's like some secret thing that we all gotta protect, because that's family. We gotta keep the family together. And I'm like, I do love family together, and I'm for it, 100% for it. But at the same time, you gotta let them go. We always protect the lowest, and we know they do something, and we can see it, and we just be like, oh, that family, just keep quiet. While you keep making generations of trauma over and over and not fixing the situation, and now you got like a bunch of hyper, and then be like, oh, this is what we are now. We allowed that. That's Ruby said. We allowed that.
It's respectability politics. That's why. It's the same thing. Listen, the things that are against black people are not against other races. So respectability politics is one of those, right? Just like the cleanliness politics, right? Black women, we're told that we're dirty, we're this, we're that from an early age. Most of us are hyper paranoid about cleanliness for that reason, right? Because we are told we're not before we could even possibly guess what that means, right? It's the same thing with respectability, right? You're a black girl. You know what? You come inherently built as something that's not worth respecting. So you don't get to start at 0 and build even. You are at negative and you're trying to just get to 0. You're trying to get to like a place where your behavior might be neutral even, right? But your behavior is never neutral because eventually you're going to hit puberty, and now again you're being hypersexualized again, right? And no one's protecting you because it's your fault, because you're fast, you're this, you're that. It's all your fault, right? We don't realize all of the negative behaviors we're really accepting in and then blaming our kids for, our women for, our even our little boys for the things that Black boys have to live up to, that we don't even process the harm we are causing to little 7, 8, 9-year-old boys who are going to be incredibly uncomfortable and whatever. But you have some grown-ass woman twerking up on him and he's got to pretend he cares. And it's probably incredibly intimidating and terrifying and gross because what he sees adult women as is something to mother him and to nurture him, but you are sexualizing that relationship, right? Like these are the things we see them do constantly. And then you know what? When these men talk about the fact that this is what they're doing with their sons, they say, I'm going to make him a man. And we allow it, right? We allow this to be a normal part of our culture. We allow this to define our culture. If anything, I think that's the biggest problem we have at all. Not the fact that Black culture is degenerate, it's the fact that we allow everything degenerate to define our culture. Everything. It's terrible. It really is terrible.
Yeah, the teacher taught me. Had a teacher tell me I was brought up in a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
And if you, like I said, I told y'all about laws and everything. You know, in school, I went to a predominantly white school, but we had it was 38% black. Y'all know this about the place of Mississippi. So when you in school and you be in the class like that, you'll hear random white, oh, you a good one. What does that mean? What you mean I'm a good one? When a good, you ain't like the rest of them. Like, what does that mean? Excuse me? I don't know if Ruby did because she maybe was one of the few I had to deal with because it was 38%. So, oh, you one of the good ones. I ain't like them rest of them. So some people take it to their head and agree.
No, I still get that, but yeah.
Most people take it and agree.
I would still get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they'll take it and agree with it because it makes you fit in. Because if you're smart, again, it's got to be honest. Black kids, kind of, if you're smart, a lot of times. I didn't have this problem because I was an athlete, but a lot of black kids that were smart, they'll excommunicate you. So when a white kid say, oh, you good like them, they'll run to them. Which also leads to when they grow up, they have a problem with black people. So because you excommunicated, and they're like, oh, you a good one. I'm like, yo, I'm good, and I don't know what you talking about. Stay away from me. That's weird. I don't do all that. So you hear stuff like that, and then you hear your teacher treat you better if you're a smart one, and then treat the kid in the back who didn't do nothing. The black kid in the back who they perceive as, oh, he's so-and-so son, he a good one, but that one back there, he a bad one. And you just start seeing how people treat it different. So I can understand when people have a negative concept of everything, because if I'm told my whole life from the hood that I'm a bad person just from being born, I will become a bad person. Like I said, I always say this story. When I talked to that kid in Chicago, it was a group of kids, we're going to die at 21, what doesn't matter. Everybody, that's the age. Everybody told me I'm going to die at 21, so I'm going to ball out till I live. I can rob anybody. Mm-hmm. If I think I'm going to die before I'm 18 years old, what fear should I ever have?
Right.
That's a stereotype that pushed. I'm going to die. So if I'm going to die and I'm 15, what do I got? I'm supposed to die by 18. If I live 18, that's good. If I don't, I can rob anybody. I have no fear in my heart at all because I ain't supposed to make it this far. I made it at 15. I'm good. Half of my friends did. So I'm going to just wild out. And that's, again, we are taught that culture from, by the way, in these areas, they ain't taught by white people, by the way. They're taught from our own. This is predominantly black area when the teacher tell you bad and all this and all these issues. But again, like I said, vote in black people that care, do all that stuff so you don't get them kids feel like they extradited, feel like they different. Shout out to my cousin Chris Holloway, smart kid. But then all of a sudden they all told me he was bad because he talked too much. All of a sudden he's like, screw it, I'm a bad kid then. Let me just go do stuff. He's smart as I am. Why he not, you know what I'm saying? Why he not? Nope. You a bad kid. You born like this. You talk too much.
Yep. I mean, you know what? I mean, this goes to show you, this is one discussion at all goes to show you that, we have a lot that we need to talk about as a community, as people. I mean, and just even looking at, for example, how Canada and America are different, right? For example, Rosalind saying that you know, she had this experiment or this experience with the teachers that, you know, told her that she was brought up in a trash can. Right? I remember being in the 6th grade. She won't remember this. I was in the 6th grade, and a teacher, there was gum underneath my chair / desk, except it wasn't my gum. I didn't really chew gum. It wasn't my gum though, which is what I said. And then she told me I have to get down on my hands and knees and pull it out of the carpet with my fingers. Like, it's not my gum. I'm in the 6th grade. And you want me to pull matted in gum out of the floor. It's not mine though. And then she's yelling and screaming at me, telling me I have no brain. I have no brain. So I said something along the lines of "you effing have no brain" or something like that. And I got up and I like left. Like, I don't mean like I left the class. I left the school grounds. Then I went to my friend's house, and then I wrote a will because I was really sure that I was going to get murdered by my parents for swearing at a teacher and then running away from school. But the point is, okay, there's been a lot, and I've had a lot of slights. The thing is, right, you would think, oh, Canada is so much different, what, like, no. And this is the thing we have to realize again, your experience is going to be different. Some of the experiences are going to be the same. Some of it's going to be overt racism versus covert racism and whatever, right? And it's like, until we can come together and really have these discussions, again, what part of this dysfunction is the Western world, right? And what part of this is Black culture? What part of this is being Black in the Western world versus your individual culture? That's a separate thing from the Western world, right? Like, we don't want to have those discussions. We don't want to get into that nuance. We just don't. It's like it threatens us. I don't know, but we don't want to get into that type of discussion. And until I don't see how we're going to solve some of these bigger issues and how we are going to get ourselves to a place as a greater community, where as a greater community, we have respect for ourselves and for each other and pride in ourselves and in each other. Because when you allow yourself to be treated like trash and you treat yourself like trash, it's because you're lacking that, right? You're lacking self-love, you're lacking self-pride, you're lacking self-respect, right? And until we learn how to repair that, I think this is what we're going to be doing, unfortunately.
It's true. Find anything. I don't know if I don't know if Bobby want to come up. I don't know if we finna close this and maybe have to do a part 3 since we had to start there. but Vanda?
Well, I just don't think that, Black people should be judged, on as a monolith on the degeneracy in the culture. It does exist, it is there, but it's across all, all races and all cultures. So I don't understand why that has to be the main focus, of us, when that's not all we are. And I will never let another person, another group, define who I am as a person. I know what my morals are. I know how I was raised, and I behave accordingly. I don't not do something, based on what someone else thinks or of what I should do. I do, stuff based on me, and my personal upbringing and my personal beliefs, and I don't subject myself to that. I just think it's just crazy, how, if you say something bad with us, then it's all bad, and I don't know. This is really heated discussion. It's kind of is a great talk. It is, something that does need to be talked about. And you're going to always have, two defining sides when it comes to this. You're going to have the BMTs. You're going to have a whole section of BMTs that are like, yeah, we are degenerate. Black people are this. Look at her twerking. She's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going to have the rubies. There's going to be two sides to it. So with that even being said, we're not all the same. See, we don't even all think the same. EMT thinks we're all degenerates, and Ruby's like, no, I don't think that we are.
I think half us
True.
degenerates.
That's what
Let me sit on the fence.
Very true.
I'm sitting on the fence right now. Let's go. I'm like, hey, look. See you sitting on the fence. So I can see the degenerate side and the non-degenerate side. I ain't on one wall. This ain't like Attack on Titan. I'm over here. I'm like, oh yeah, them degenerates right there. Oh yeah, them some good people. Look at that fence. I told y'all the fence is nice, Joe. Ruby, I told you the fence is nice. But there's different classes in black culture, just like all other culture. We just act like ours is one thing. Shout out to Mr. Bobby Wright in the chat. That is true. It's different classes. People in the North, black culture way different. I know kids in the North, they let white dude get off with the N word. You will not see that in the South. Nope, it's nope. So it's like vastly different. Like on the East Coast, I see black dude let them white dude get off with the N word. In the South, they know not to say that. It's real dangerous. But like I said, even in that culture like that, it's different in a lot of ways. So, like it's no monolith or anything.
No, and we need to stop we don't even realize this is a carryover from slavery, right? Where we were looked at as cattle, right? And so since we're just cattle, right, we're not human, right? So why would we have classes, right? Cattle don't have classes. They're all just cattle, right? There's sheep. They're livestock. They're not people, right? We weren't people for 400 years if you're a descendant of slavery. And we don't realize that this thing that we do, right, where we make ourselves into a monolith like that, and we are so readily, easily to accept not only that we are a monolith, but that we are all the bottom 5% of the monolith, right? The reason why we're accepting that is because we are in a Western world that was conditioned and still has the messages everywhere telling everybody that we are just livestock. Okay. And therefore, we don't have to have the same rules of humanity that everyone else does because we're not really human, right? We're only 3/5 of a person. And as much as people want to pretend that that's not true anymore, it is, because everything we say and do about ourselves lets us know that we still see ourselves that way. Okay. And everyone still sees us that way. And that's why it's okay for us to be a monolith. That's why it's okay for us to all be the bottom 5%. That's why it's okay that you see a black person and you think they're defined by whoever the hell you saw in the news yesterday, or whatever rapper you saw on TV, or whoever you saw in some random movie that you know is a fiction, right? It's okay for you to define all blackness that way. And you never do that with whiteness, right? Like we have to start looking at these things and being aware, right? Like, this is why they're so scared of the word woke. This is why they're trying to demonize the word woke, right? Because wokeness, right, is about waking up and being aware. Be aware of why you're doing this. Be aware that it's not normal. It's not normal for us to do the things that we do. It's not, right? I'm not talking about the twerking thing. We already know what's abnormal and not normal about being a politician twerking in public. We already know that. Right? The way we are willing to dismiss all of the positive, right? There's no such thing as a black excellence. That's why it started ebony excellence, because no one believes in black excellence. It's all a myth. Like, who do you know? From what culture do you know would say there's no such thing as excellence in my culture? Like, what? Bro, like, there's not millionaires and billionaires who are black in the Western world today.
Not Tyler Perry need to buy BT real quick. All right, we're finna close the show. I know some people. Shaw gone to bed. We might was trying to stay up till her birthday time. 30 more minutes, Shaw. 30 more.
I know we were trying, but it's okay. We love you, Shara. Happy birthday. I'm sorry that for your birthday we don't know how to follow rules. And we made like 100 years to watch. Love you. Happy birthday.
Martin
Luther Ruby, yeah. No, Malcolm X Ruby, thank you. Malcolm Ruby X. I'm not really a big Martin fan. I'm a very big Malcolm X fan, though.
Ruben
I even have him on my wall.
Let's go Ruben mixed out here, man.
Yeah, Malcolm X. I have him on my wall. I have a big, huge. I'll show you one day when we were doing a meeting. I'll walk down the hall so you can see. It's a big, huge poster I've had like pretty much my whole life. I love Malcolm X. So,
Vonda, any last word?
I just want to say thanks for having me. This was a great topic, great discussion. Once again, it's nice being up here with you guys and having a nice, lively discussion. I enjoyed, BMT coming up with his, different views. Ruby, Zell, great. Thanks for having me, you guys.
Yes, thank you for coming up, Vonda. Again, Lisa, nice. It was fun to have a nice, lively discussion. And we weren't disagreeing with each other, but we had someone to disagree with, So that was always good. No, but I'm glad BMT was able to come up. He had the energy and the wherewithal for him to come and dispute and be fully passionate in it. So I guess he is healing very well from surgery, and I hope he continues to heal well. Because Team BMT, we cool. And thank you everyone for coming. And even though we had the issue, the computer shut down, y'all came for the second stream. And I just love y'all. Y'all are the greatest supporters ever. Vonda's up here and she stuck through this discussion. Even Shar came up and she was like, listen, I got things to do. It's my birthday and I don't do this arguing foolishness. But she came up. So shout out to Shar on her birthday. What's up, girl? We see you. And thank you so much for everyone who came through. Just Jay, Mr. Bobby Ray, Roslyn, Marjorie from earlier. God, we had so many people. We had Don Teasy, we had Mama Bell, we had Mama Rubes at some point. We had Mandrell, who didn't make it back, but hopefully he will one day.
I think he might have missed it because the computer restarted. Probably.
Yeah, it might. That might actually be true, right? BMT, of course, like I said, right? I mean, so many people came out today. Love y'all so much. We did have a pretty high view count on the first stream, but we got up to 7 on the second stream. That almost never happens, that you get all your people back. So thank you guys so much. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah, I do appreciate y'all. Again, thank y'all. We out of here. I do appreciate y'all. We're gonna let Ruby get some rest. She found energy somehow in the discussion. Let's go. All right, let's go. Peace.